Old Nation, welcome into another episode of the Renegade Rundown. I've got my lovely co-host Jen Santi, as always, at Jen Santi 1890. You can find her on X. My guy Deshaun, he's Deshaun Adams 18 on X, but also at the Daily Chop right here on YouTube. Go check out that show. It's a lot of fun. They get into Florida State high school recruiting, but also just whatever else is going on in the media. It's not like the roast. It's not a roast. It's more of a talk show, but yeah, definitely that type of atmosphere. Not safe for work necessarily. They have a fun time. So with that, there's it's a historic day in the state of Florida. I'm from Milton, Florida, right here, 30 minutes east of Pensacola. I'll be 34 next month. At the end of next month, I've never seen snow in my entire life. I've been to New York a couple times, but it was in the summer with my grandparents both times. There was no chance it was going to snow. It was like 90 degrees when I was up there. I was like, this is a sick joke. Anyway, we're at like 7 inches, and it's supposed to go for another, I don't know, 3 hours, 2.5 hours. It's pretty nuts. So everybody out there, I'm sure there's a ton of you guys, all the way from Texas to Tallahassee, who's just started to catch up and catch the tail end of this thing. I think they've got an inch by now. Our guy Deshaun up there, southwest of Atlanta, a little bit less, uncommon for him. But yeah, it's crazy. It's snow day. I'm not sure if y'all can see it too good behind me, but yeah, I was just telling them it's so deep that the first step there coming off the patio, pretty much, it's just flat snow all the way across the road. There's no curves. There's no nothing. Maybe at the end of the episode, I'll move the camera and go do a snowman to end it off. But anyway, Jen's been dealing with this shit every day for the past 2 months. I know he's not crying any tears for us, but hopefully the power doesn't go off while we do this. Because I don't know, the power lines here look pretty good. We're kind of in the center of town, but we're not built for this shit. We're not. Maybe I'm thinking, and I'm not that I have any experience here. I'm thinking like when it starts to melt and then refreeze, that's when the power lines will have problems. But maybe as long as it stays fluffy snow, we'll be all right. How are we doing today? How are you doing, Jim?
Good. I'm doing good. Notre Dame lost. I'm happy about that. They yet make another big game, and so it's always fun to watch them squander that appearance. So yeah, I know we're supposed to all hate the big bad Ohio State, but as a Catholic, I hate the big bad Notre Dame, and I'm allowed to say it. So there you go.
It was deja vu, wasn't it, Deshaun?
Yeah, deja vu, man. Watching the game is more the same. It's like, the situation exactly. Notre Dame lost that game simply because they just didn't have enough skill players. Their skill players were mid at best, and the trenches, they were banged up. But you know, just I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed talking about it, and then going with the weather, man. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's been a wonderful. It's been a pretty lackadaisical, laid back kind of day.
Well, let's start the show with this because I made a post just in passing, just kind of the way I tweet. This is not for the better of my account. I don't sit there and try to think up memes and put things together that often, do graphics to make something go viral. I just kind of tweet my thoughts. When something occurs to me, I get it out there and it's a way to remember it. It's kind of, therapeutic. But the other day I had the thought, and I've been for the past month, but just really watching all the offers go through, all the guys the coaching staff is going out there and visiting with, all the junior days, specifically Herb Hand, but the entire staff at large, the new defensive coaches, the offensive coaches, everybody. And it's like, tweet was like, holy shit, Alex Atkins just literally was not recruiting these guys. Because, we sat here and we talked about how hard it is to get tackles and there's only so many of them and things of that nature. And that's true. But how is it that all of a sudden 3 or 4 new 6'7", 300, 280-pound dudes are talking about how it's amazing how they got this FSU offer, and Coach Hand is in there cooking up omelets for them in their own kitchen, like old school Bobby Bowden's type stuff. Like, it's a punch in the gut. I know we've talked about it. The aggravating thing to me is anytime you bring that up on Twitter, people just want to say, oh, well, in hindsight, that's on the head coach. And it's like, dude, we criticized him for 4 months. We talked about should he be fired. Since they decided to keep him, they flipped the staff. What we've seen has been on a complete and different level. Obviously, he has to win, or they're not going to get to complete in this thing, sign the 26 class, and then what the 27 class can be. But what they've shown from the portal is night and day difference over last year, specifically the offensive line. Who is Bless Harris, like the biggest name offensive line you ever brought in? Like, then you kind of push him out for the guys you recruited out of high school that flop. The one
Never
guy
playing.
Richie Leonard from Florida, he's pretty good. Unfortunately, he gets injured. Like, it's just really, really hard to believe. Jason Brown is a perfect example. Like, he was willing to go to UCF. Like, sure, they're in the Big 12 now. Sure, they had Herb Hand and things of that nature. But it's like, why would Florida State be trying to make his dream? Why would they be chasing out Florida? So I'll let Jen start because I know she was early on this and she wasn't buying the bacon last year. But it's just, to me, it's a stark difference in the way the whole staff is recruiting, but specifically Herb Hand, Gus Malzahn, Tony White, these guys. What's your thoughts from what you've seen so far?
Well, one, I think with an offensive line coach, they're not supposed to be your friend. They're not supposed to be sitting there, playing Xbox or whatever it is the kids are playing these days, right? They're supposed to be kind of like a military guy, embarrassing you in front of your friends, making you run, doing all these things. Like, we all know this. And it was Alex Atkins just gave that vibe of, I'm your buddy, I'm your bro. And that just never works. It might work for DB coaches, it might work for other things, but for offensive linemen, it doesn't. We want them to be fat and happy. I'm glad he's taking them to dinner. I'm glad he's cooking their food in the kitchen. Feed them more protein, give them more meat, give them some grain, give them some bread, do all those things. That's what you should be doing. And then you embarrass them and, run them to the ground. That's what an offensive line coach is supposed to do. Feed them and militarize their training. That's what you do. Not play Xbox, not be their buddy, not do all those other things that we were seeing. And yeah, I agree with you. It does seem like there was a certain group of kids he wanted to recruit, and if he missed on them, he missed on them and just never went to a 2 or 3 or 4 on his list. It was insane. It was, you've seen offensive line coaches be like, oh, you don't want to play for me? Well, I'm going to go get the guy who's next, whatever, right below you or whatever, and go pick him up. This guy was like, hey, here's my 5 I want. And if I don't get them, I'm going to sit at home and smoke my cigars and post photos. That's what I mean. Seriously, I don't know what else to say about it, but those are my thoughts.
There's very rare players, coaches in college football. That shit does not work. You can have maybe Dabo Sweeney's the one guy that comes to mind, but he's the head guy. I'm sure his offensive line coach is mean as hell. But yeah, Deshaun, I think we've had this conversation before. It was either you or Steve pointed out that he was watching some garbage ass offensive lineman in a big recruiting weekend instead of somebody out there. It occurred to me, to jump off of what Jen said about him being a friend. It seems like those relationships he had with those 5 guys was like, okay, since I'm your friend and I'm all in all this stuff, I can't go offer, as Jen said, the guy that's one below all those guys or one above him because they're going to drop off and leave him. And you can't, scared money don't make money. But yeah, your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts basically on Atkins is, I was wondering the thought, okay, the recruiting would substantiate everything else, but then hindsight's 2020 now. But you look at the situation of hearing about laziness, you hear about certain situations in which he wasn't out there doing exactly what he was supposed to do. We look at the track record of all the recruits that he has brought in have mostly transferred out or haven't panned out. You got the situation where you saw what was going on last year, but Jen, to your detriment, and you were correct. This was a pattern that we had noticed, and it was masked. I mean, it was masked by Jordan Travis being able to run. I mean, sun shines on a dog's ass here and there. So, Trey Benson was also got to get credit, has to have credit. Trayshawn Ward has to have some credit. Lawrence Toafili has to have some credit because they masked a lot of guys. And that's not knocking any of the linemen from last year's squad. That's just saying linemen like Dylan Gibbons, linemen like Bless Harris, when we had Turrentine, they played as best as well as they could. And those guys like Robert Scott and Darius Washington, they gave everything they had to the point that their bodies were broken because they were played
Yeah.
before they were supposed to. So I won't get on any of those guys because they were shortchanged, and really he owes them their fucking career in my opinion. He does, because they gave everything up and laid everything on the line for him. So he owes them a lot. I can see why he said what he said in the press conferences about that, because he did refer to them. He owes them a lot. He owes a lot of those guys a lot because he shortchanged them. He either shortchanged them by recruiting them knowing that they weren't FSU quality, or he shortchanged them by not giving them everything he had in development. And he was lazy, and he didn't do anything to push them, and it pretty much came to a head this past year.
Yeah, it's crazy. Looking back on it, we had an offensive line not quite as bad as 2024, but pretty close in 2019. That's why I thought we'd never see anything like that again, where you have 3 guys in the bottom 30 of offensive linemen in the entire country. I don't know if we had that particular stat this year, but we were dead last in everything. Pass protection, run, all of it. So, like, you see how we got there, and to your point about hindsight being 2020. Because after 2019, just the momentum, the new offense, people didn't know what to expect. You brought in a couple transfers, like you said, Daniel Gibbons, put together a decent offensive line. Robert Cooper was fresh, 100% healthy. He was like your best graded offensive lineman that year, I think, as a true freshman, and he was pretty good. Okay. Then Jordan Travis takes over in 2021, and that changes everything, to your point. And then that disguised it all the way to 13-0. Some people were calling it out like Jen. I knew in my heart of hearts it should be way better, but it was like at the same time, like we don't ever want to go back to Willie Taggart 2019 offensive line. Like, they still, when you look at the stats, you have this 13,000 snaps coming back. Everybody says he's this, that. Well, it just fell apart. And it's like as soon as that multiplier, that force multiplier of Jordan Travis was taken off the field, it just completely fell apart. And like to your point, like, because they don't want to piss off high school guys. They don't bring anybody in to back them up or to be able to take over, push them, practice or anything like that. It was ultimately a disservice to everybody. But yeah, it is on Mike Norvell. But the reason I don't want to have that conversation, okay, it is on him. He fired the people. He brought them in. Like, he hit my checklist, at least I don't speak for everybody, but my checklist of things that I wanted to happen, he nailed it. So we can get into that overall. We can get into whatever. What's on anybody's mind there? Go ahead, Jen, Deshaun. I got my
on this. Speaking on your checklist, I've seen some things on the checklist that I will give credit for. Like you said, they've changed out the old guard with some of the coaches. They've introduced a new guard, and there is a difference in mentality and what they're doing and the body types and what they're trying to recruit. I got one more thing on my checklist. We mentioned injuries, especially on the offensive line. Soft tissue injuries, nagging injuries that have nagged these players for a long time. That means you got to watch one specific area in your development, and that's what I'm watching. It starts with the title there, the tour duty and all of that, those things. I want to see some changes there as far as not just the basics, but what do they do when they practice going out. I don't want to see no more water guns. I don't want to see no more of the same cone drills, even though those drills are basic. I don't want to see them anymore. So down the road, I'm looking at it as I'm be honest, I got one eye looking at the strength and conditioning. That's what I'm looking for. Once that part gets answered for me, then my checklist is good. We ready to roll and go into the next season. I'm looking for the body types to change. I'm not looking for guys that's coming in at 320 pounds down to 290. I don't want to see that. We saw that. Jalen Early walked in the door as a high school freshman at 320. If it's bad weight, I get it. But he's still under 300 pounds now. I don't get it. That makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me. And then you talking about leaning on people. You could never get Maurice Smith up above 300. That's a problem. Now, I know they said Robert Scott was 340 or 330 at one point. I'm thinking that weight was gained just because he was inactive. It wasn't like it was just training. It was inactive. He's been sitting and injured for a while. So the most he probably arrived was a stationary bike. But I may be wrong. But I am looking at the strength and conditioning. That's what I'm not gonna take my foot off that gas until I see it. Because
we've talked about this ad nauseum. Yeah, we've
Go ahead.
talked about this ad nauseum, and it's a very fair criticism. Just like I'm defending, and not that I'm necessarily defending, just we'll see this year. It may turn out just like Atkins that our strength and
Yeah.
condition is terrible, and the dude takes a lesser job and everything else. But for the time being, given off of I think it's more of the guys you brought in being injury prone and toughness and things of that nature with all the different combinations to the offensive line and all the things. And to your point of Robert Scott, like, is it the strength and conditioning's fault that Robert Scott has to get put in when he's not ready and should be taking the rest of the year off, year after year after year? Maury Smith constantly with a hip and then a back and then a shoulder. It was always something. So I imagine that makes it hard to put on good weight. But it's up for consideration. But like the DBs sure look yoked. The linebackers that we got, although I haven't performed on the field, have been yoked and things of that nature. I've seen the good things, but yeah, it's all up for questioning. It's like one of the main things that didn't get changed. You got real change on offense, real change on defense. Yeah, that part did not change very much. Jen, thoughts?
I mean, I agree. I was a little shocked that the strength and conditioning wasn't changed or upgraded or however you want to put it. But I also think that that is one of either Mike's praising points or it's going to hit him in the end because he is very loyal, which is also why I was surprised that he actually got rid of Atkins because Atkins was on a show cause. I didn't think he would actually do it. I didn't think he would do it because he is loyal. But for me, I guess we'll have to see. I think when you bring in different recruits, maybe the strength and conditioning will work. So this is Mike's last year, right? I think we all know that. I think
Urgency.
that's what we're looking at. And it's either going to work or it's not. And it's on him now. That is what it is. So we can see if they change up some things. I hope they do.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't changed, then we're just gonna have to depend on what the head coach thinks.
Yep.
And it's at the end of the day, it's not our paycheck that it's gonna affect. So let's hope he takes it seriously. That's all we can
Yeah.
say.
If Kevin Wing comes in rushing the passer day one, I think everybody will be pretty happy. At least we only have one, true defensive tackle position this year. So we don't need quite as many 300 pounders. We've got some good, four guys that are 260 to 280 pounds to play on the edge. Yeah, hopefully, they don't all shrink 20 pounds to Deshaun's point. But yeah, I think the offensive line is a definite area that strength and conditioning is lacked. It seems to me that the issues are centralized more into one position, a little bit with defensive tackles, but that wasn't an issue really that till this year, overall. But as I said, linebackers, defensive backs, wide receivers, for the most part, like they've looked great and things of that nature. But there's always that conversation. I remember Florida was having it a couple seasons, like reps and cardio over power, like especially with the last half. Like if you're going to be rotating your defensive line and your O line 100 times a game, okay, well then why do they need to play 60 snaps if they're never going to play more than 30? Bulk them up and just go for that power. So we'll see. The scheme changes it, and whatever. He's one of these guys that's truly revered. Like players in the NFL consistently have came back to like he's one of the best coaches I had, and it was great. Cultures change. Over
Yeah.
time, what was cool in 2018 through 2022 for kids and getting them motivated, maybe that's not true anymore in 2025, and it cost Mike his job. But I just think back to so many guys who came in off of injuries, like Trey Benson, and injuries overcame to come back and be good, and I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. But there's just as many people in the camp of Deshaun and maybe Jen a little bit not as on the topic
Well,
worried.
all
I'm
I
worried
know
too,
is
but I'm
I
not.
need more
That wasn't at the top of
photos.
my list. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I need more photos of players that look like James Wilder Jr. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's what we need. That's what I'm looking for. I think that's what everybody else is looking for. Like that's what we need. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell anybody, but the fact that an 18-year-old kid in high school had to get out there and like block him, I mean, I would have sat down. I would have said, you know what, I'm good. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I mean, how about more videos of someone like a Darnell Dockett? Like, that's what we need. That's what we're looking for. If you can't get there, like, I don't, you know,
And
it's not going to work.
I'll add, when I say strength and conditioning, I'm not just addressing the lift and weights. I'm talking about the
Yep.
nutrition program, all of that, the health, because just like you said, George, and you alluded to it, Maurice Smith has been dealing with a nagging injury for how long? Robert Scott was dealing with a nagging injury for how long? You know, these are things that, you know, more time to rest is one thing, but if they can't rest when the recruiting was so bad and the
Mm-hmm.
guys were unprepared. So you're looking at going into this year, we brought in 5 really decent, solid linemen to get on, you know, and you add Richie Leonard and you still got Ferguson in them, but then what do you have to back those guys up? It's very important that your floor is good. And if you can't have, if Otto's not ready, Early's not ready, and Simmons is not ready, or Daniels is not ready. Daniels came in, he's from your area. He came in at what, 285? He has to be at least 6'4, 295, 300, at least 305. If he's not 305 by the time spring's over and we get to the summer, that's telling. That's a red flag. Now, some of that is I guess body composition, genetics, you know, that's going to play a part, but you guys, that's their job to figure out, okay, what is he doing? What is he not doing? What do we need to feed him to where he gets the mass that we need? So that's just things to watch for. That's it. I'm not going to beat that dead horse.
Yeah.
We need those
Yeah,
4
because I mean,
offensive
there's
linemen
nothing
we
we can
brought
do.
in.
Yeah. What'd you say, George?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's good. I was just saying we need those 4 offensive linemen that came in to start all 12 games. That's what we need.
Yes.
And
Yes,
figure
but
out
you
that
got
other
it.
spot, but you need
Yeah.
those 4 to start every freaking game.
Yes. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. That was something else I was going to touch on with Gus and with Herb. I believe you can't, all that rotating shit has to stop. You have
Yeah.
your solid 5, keep playing them, but you got to prepare those guys behind them to be ready. And physically and mentally. Know the playbook, know what we're doing here, and be physically ready to do your job. And if they're not physically ready, then it's a problem. And that problem starts, especially if we see what we saw last year from the backups. I don't think we'll see it from our starters this year, you know, with your Pettises and Pettibones and you know Gunnar Hansen and things like that. But if we start getting into the 2 deep and they're getting thrown around, like we saw this past year and then we saw over the last 2 years, certain players that can happen to, then we have a problem. And you can't put it on Atkins now, and you're definitely not going to put it on Herb Hand.
I will argue with you on that. Just the fact
Okay.
of how close they got in here. Like what they brought in is the transfers, and it's not like they were going to flip a bunch of big time offensive linemen. They grabbed a couple, maybe Chase and Brown, but like those guys, like Ferguson's going to get thrown around. I got bad news for you. He sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Jalen Early, I would tend to agree because he has potential. You can see it. Maybe some of the younger guys. It's just like I just don't see how much impact. Hopefully, Herb Hand's coaching is that much better, and they can get the meal plans better and stuff. But I don't have high hopes for it at all. Like I don't think Jesus could come back and make those guys not get thrown around. Like, and that's
But
not trying to be
it's
anything. I got
no, I
high
get you.
hopes for Daniels, but everything they have up to this point has been from Atkins and that previous. So if he makes it through 26 and the backups are getting thrown around in 20, or 20, excuse me, if they make it through this year, next year I'll be on board with you to be
I
like,
got you.
it's not a fucking problem.
Now I'll add this. One of our guys, Keith, that will be on the timeline and in the spaces with us. He says this, and this is his saying. If we see Julian Armella go out to UCLA and shine, Alex Atkins is gonna catch a fade, and he deserves to get a fade because it don't. You know, you see, we've already seen Thomas Schrader. We saw Bless Harris go off elsewhere and become all conference at the minimum. If Julian Armella goes to the Big Ten and UCLA and he starts to shine, and all of these things that we heard, rumors and all of that turned out to be bullshit, then that's even more indicative on Alex Atkins, and he deserves a fade
Yeah,
with the
look,
coaching staff and the fan base.
let me say this. If you get to be impressed,
Yeah.
And, Ferguson makes me eat my words. And all of a sudden, it's one of
Yes.
these things where you get a new scheme and all of a sudden these guys can freaking play.
Yeah.
Then we can start telling some real lies.
Mm.
Real lies. So we'll see. We're going to find out week 1 against Alabama because they may not be the dynasty Alabama, but they're still going to have 4 and 5-star athletes along the trenches and offensive line as well. So
Yeah.
it's going to be fun to see. But it's one of those things like you can't really predict it. I go back to 2012. I predicted in 2012 Florida State would make it to the national championship. I didn't know if they had enough to win it, but I thought they were going to go undefeated and win it. Unfortunately, we all know what happens. You get upset at NC State.
Yeah.
EJ
Come
gets
up.
knocked out against Florida, and that wraps up your chances.
Mm-hmm.
But that team, they didn't have it. They didn't have the X factor. The scheme wasn't that sharp. Our guy that's at Kentucky, like his defense was good, but not good championship level. There was just something missing. In 2013, all of a sudden, you got a true freshman quarterback. And what I said that time was, if Jameis Winston is who we think we are, he is. And if the writers are being honest for a change, it's tough when they hype up every quarterback. But going into that year was like, okay. And sure enough, it was just over with. Everything Pruitt's scheme came in and it worked perfect. You just saw it. I'm trying to think of examples, but like Chip Kelly, all of a sudden, when he gets to Oregon, and all of a sudden, with kind of the same personnel, their offense takes off. Like, if that happens, then yeah, you could start seeing some crazy things. But I'm holding my breath on that. I feel like it'll probably be a little bit of a work in progress. But yeah, if we're running for 250 yards a game, and Castellanos, runs for 1,000 yards and throws 20 touchdowns, that's a beautiful dream to dream.
Mm-hmm.
That is a nice dream, and I
Yeah.
hope that works out for you.
If we get 500, I say if we can get 500 to 600 yards from Castellanos, that would be good. 500
Mm.
yards, 5 touchdowns. That's serviceable in the system that we're going to run. That's good, and he gives us about 2,500. If he can give us that, I'm not going to knock it. As long as he keeps the turnovers down, we're good. It's effective.
Yeah, it's a good place to go. We can talk about this right now. I think the record's like 595 yards or something.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Travis may have had his freshman season or something. I don't know if that's the record.
Like
I
that.
mean, Charlie Ward, like he ran, but he didn't run for a ton of yards. Florida State's never really had a quarterback that ran for a ton of yards. I think he's got a chance to break it. Do they risk running him that much to get to 1,000 yards or something like that? Because, I mean, he did it, 1,100 yards at Boston College, but it's just not been a thing at Florida State to heavily rely on running that much. Even Jordan Travis, a lot of it was escapability. But I don't know. Gus Malzahn's offense, that being his strength, it's just hard to imagine once that run is successful, they don't just start dropping it off behind it and it equalizes with the passes. But I don't know. He's special with his feet, man. It'd really be fun to see him embrace that. If they can block it up enough to where he doesn't get killed, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
the craziest thing. Even if if we're bad and we're just having to rely on that too much, to see him break the rushing record for Florida State for a single year.
Go ahead, Jen. You sound like you had something to add.
Well, no, I just look. I do not. I'm not looking at Castellanos right now as this savior that we need. And yeah, I saw Bobby's comments. Was gonna say this too, and I don't think Miami fans should look at Carson Beck as the savior that they need. Um, I think that for Castellanos, it's going to be proof in the pudding with the offensive line. That's the only way he's going to be successful. Um, and so now maybe because he's not Jordan Travis, he's not going to be able to mask bad offensive line, play. And so this is going to be an interesting year. I think the first game is going to tell everything. Obviously, their first game is Miami. That's going to be, or Alabama. That's going to be a difficult one to, start off with. But it's also going to let us know a bunch of shit, right? You're going to get all your crap. Either you look good or you're going to look like Georgia Tech Day. That's it. That's it. It's not going to be gray for me. It's going to be pretty black and white right there. And again, just like, the Georgia Tech game was very black and white for me. I didn't think we would win another game. I was wrong. We won like what, 2 more? That's it. So It was terrible for me, and I want to see better. I want to see sideline, enthusiasm. I want to see
Mhm.
players engaged in the game. I saw none of that last year. They were more engaged on IG and on Twitter than anything I've ever seen than when they were on the field. I do appreciate with Castellanos. This is the one thing I will say. He seems to be very involved. It is very nice to see. He seems very happy. He's out there throwing. He's doing things. I also think that like I've said before, the Boston College fans being so butthurt about their backup or a kid that quit on the team or was benched, whichever their news story is, because they have a different one every day. They're so butthurt with him going to Florida State. It does make me think we do have something there. And yet, for Miami fans, I see no Georgia fan very upset that Carson Beck went to Miami. That's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely not Jordan Travis with the arm. He's
Yep.
more of a poor man's Kyler Murray if you're going to make a comparison, but nowhere near the arm that Kyler has. Obviously, he was pretty damn good, especially in college, and now with the Cardinals. So, or he may be gone from the Cardinals by now. So, but yeah, his legs though. If Jordan Travis would have committed to running the ball like Thomas, like maybe then I would say he's a better runner. Like when he was first taking over and he was a pure runner, it was pretty special. But I don't know. I give Castellanos whatever, at least as good as Jordan Travis with his legs, given off of what he did his freshman year. And I can't hold it against him being in that Bill O'Brien offense, and he still did some pretty special things out there. But to your point, it's a crazy thing to ever think, but Boston College probably had a much better offensive line the last couple of years than what FSU has put out there. We'll see about
Yeah.
this year with Herb Hand and
Oh,
all.
you're not lying about that. You
But I
don't need
think,
to tell me that.
I think, with the engagement on the sideline, the engagement from the fans, staying in games, everything about running the football and running your quarterback shortens games, exciting plays.
Mhm.
You see, you either lose 8 games and Mike Norvell's out, or it takes. To what extent, that's kind of hard to predict it. I don't care how good the stories come out of practice. You're not going to fall for that again as far as getting too hyped. But a bowl game seems pretty I'm pretty
Logical.
confident they get there. No spring game, so it's like Bama ain't going to know what's coming at them outside of watching old UCF and Auburn cut
Auburn.
up.
Mhm.
It's man, it's pretty polarizing to start with Alabama after 2-10 and all
Yeah.
the changes and all the portal guys getting back to bringing the experience. Like,
Mhm.
damn, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Them tickets are through the roof. Like FSU is like hedging their bets on the whole season with that Alabama game. I know it's mostly secondary market stuff, but holy shit, it might have the chance to be like one of those Oklahoma games back in the day, but if
Yeah.
we start out 21-0 and it's downhill, it's going to be a problem. Georgia
Hey.
Tech from last year, even though they turned out to be a damn good team, it's
Yeah.
almost like the team watched Jen bury their ass after that Georgia Tech game, and they're like, "She's right. We just lost to a bunch of engineers. We're
Oh,
fucking
we're
done
not
for the
blaming
year."
me. We're not
Because
blaming me.
I'm just saying, if they would have played like they played against Georgia Tech, we go to a bowl game. Like, because that was, everybody, we were disgusted, and you for good reason, and you were right. It never changed. It didn't matter who we played; they played the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the points went backwards. But like they rose to the occasion in that game. Like they got knocked back at the beginning, fought back all the things, and there was not a performance on tape anywhere close to that Georgia Tech game, as bad as it was. There certainly was for Omar
Cal.
Green. But as far as the lines and things, it's like it just kept getting worse. I guess you can count the Cal game because it was a win.
Yeah, I would say
A
Cal, they played
much
way
lesser team.
better. But okay, but I think Cal, they played way better than they did against Georgia Tech.
They're
That's
just,
number
just a
one.
lot shittier team.
Yeah.
Is my point.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, but Cal should have beaten Miami too. That's the thing.
They should have lost to the
Okay.
bottom 5, except for us. Virginia Tech about got them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're looking at this saying, oh, look at these teams, look at that team. What I was saying from Bobby's response is, I don't see Georgia fans being upset that Carson Beck left.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
glad
at
you
all.
said that. I totally forgot Bobby's question. Bobby
Yeah.
said, do you think Florida State has Castellanos in better position to have success than Carson Beck at Miami? Hell no. hell no. Carson Beck is set up way more for success. He pretty
Yeah.
much knows he's going to have a damn good offensive line. I'm sure y'all got a running back or two. We'll see what the defense does, but he's going to get on the field plenty if the defense sucks anyways to get opportunities and make plays and things of that nature.
His
You know,
receivers and experience, though.
Yeah.
He doesn't have
I
that.
get it, but it's the same thing at Florida State. You know,
Yeah.
outside of Duke Robinson and Squirrel, who are still younger of the transfers that we took. You know, so it's like there's nothing that Florida State has that Miami doesn't have. There's a chance, there's an opportunity there with Herb Hand to, he's a different level coach. If these 4 guys can play the whole year, maybe we can see something. But no, they've recruited at another level, specifically at the O line. They like to complain about or talk about their top 5 classes. I went on ad nauseum about it, have been justified in my talking about them being paper tigers. But the one position specifically that they did do damn well and have developed well is offensive line. Nobody can argue that. So, all their one transfer wide receiver in the spring or whatever from him being in a pretty good spot. But to Jen's point, like who raises the team better? Like what does Carson Beck do for Miami versus what Thomas Castellanos does for Florida State? That's hands down Thomas Castellanos in my question.
Better system fit.
Yeah, he's singing the blues about having Carson Beck after having, the absolute perfect person for that offense from out west and our guy Cam Ward with all the experience and the way he would just read the blocks and just stand there flat-footed for like 10 seconds and that it's not going to be the same with Carson Beck. He's one of these guys a lot closer to Quinn Ewers and running straight to the only place you could possibly get sacked.
Dancing around back there. Nope.
Yeah. And I
Georgia's
think we
line is pretty good too.
Yeah.
But we also have to talk about he is injured. He is having a surgery that does take a while to come back from. Whether any Miami fan wants to believe it or not, he isn't going to be able to participate in spring. That is a problem, especially coming into a new system. However you want to look at it, this is true. These are just facts. It is what it is. So I think, again, Georgia fans are excited Carson Beck left. That's all I'm saying. And he won them 2 national championships. I mean, again, I don't know. Well, you know what I mean. Well, you know what I mean. I'm just saying can you imagine, like, I mean, I can't imagine having a great quarterback at Florida State wins 2 national championships in a row and us being like, have fun, bye. Like, it just wouldn't happen. There's a reason for this. There's a reason. And by the way, Alabama and Georgia came back with whoever leaked it to On3 that from Miami source, because we know On3 is obsessed with Miami. They came out with this, well, Alabama and Georgia were offering him this money and he chose Miami instead. They came out and refuted it. On the story, they said this is absolutely false. Yeah. Absolutely false. So I think Carson Beck is a nice pickup for them compared to Emory Williams. Great.
Yeah.
You've got a really bad quarterback in your quarterback room. And by the way, if Carson Beck can't go, that's your quarterback room. That's it. And it could be possible that he can't go. And he's getting paid regardless of whether or not he plays. Y'all all remember this. Just saying. That's a terrible deal for Miami. I don't. But you had to do it. They had a gun to their head. They had to do it. That's how bad Emory Williams is. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, if any of Emory Williams' family's watching, I apologize.
We're sorry.
It is what it is. It's just the opinions in football, but the Milton High alum, hopefully you get it together. You're a tough guy, I'll give you that. But anyways, yeah, it's definitely a step down for them and Carson Beck. As far as the UCL or Tommy John surgery, I've heard you say that a bunch, and you're absolutely right. I think the biggest part for me is what you said about him not being there for spring and then having to try to figure things out by fall camp and ease through rehab and all that while trying to learn the system and be a leader for the guys at the same time. That's the part that I worry about. Like, I don't know. Like, these days you can come back from that. Like, a lot of people come back stronger.
Sure.
And that's baseball players usually that have it. It's pretty rare to have a quarterback have it. So we'll see. I'm not as worried about the show. Like I feel like he'll be healthy when the season comes around. I just don't see how they really get things to click in that short of a period of time. I think Tiny Hat may be there. I'm sitting here wondering how a guest could be popping out. But he heard
Tiny.
me. He heard me there. He had to jump on.
Yeah, he probably had to jump in because he probably didn't like what he was hearing.
Man, listen. First off, Tiny Hat CEO has returned to the Renegade Rundown. Shout out to everybody up here. Shout out to my boy Deshaun. Hey, listen, I've been working on my jab, bro. I've been working on the bag. All right, we out here. Look, Alex Atkins gonna have to really see me. He gonna have to have them hands right. Man, if I see Burst Fade go out there to Cal ready to go. Shout out to my FSU Harley Quinn looking angelic as always, girl. You go ahead. AG. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. You look like one of the Union Army members, bro. Like, what's going on with you? You about to go liberate somebody?
It's a khaki pearl snap, man.
It's a khaki what? What?
The pearl snap, man.
You was
the pearl
you
snap.
the Union with that shit. That God damn, boy, you look like one of them training Marines right now. That's what you look like. You got no stripes. You got it buttoned up. You got a side part out here. Look at this dude. Look at this.
It's snowing out here, dog. We're not in t-shirts today. We got to have some clothes on.
Hey, listen, and you look like you was wishing for a white Christmas with that on right there. Come on, bro. I'm dreaming for a white Christmas. Get your shit together out here. Hey, listen, y'all out here. Listen, I know we not really out here talking about what Miami fans out here lying about. I don't want to give a damn about them. They talk about something. Oh, they were going to offer them $4 million. They was going to offer them $3 million. What nobody for the offer that sorry ass little boy no $4 million, no $3 million? What? Please. If anything, they was gonna offer him 3 million grains of rice so he can take his ass out there and go make a salad or something with that shit. That shit is trash. Don't nobody want no Carson Beck. He can't even throw. That boy ain't gonna be on the field until mid-July anyway. And they got all new receivers, all new everything. He gonna be trash. And Notre Dame
is about to be more like August. I think it's gonna be more like August.
Right. And Notre Dame is about to have their get back here. They just got embarrassed last night. That get back is coming. And it's going to come at the expense of the University of Coral Gables Hurricanes. This is going to be fantastic. So I don't give a damn about them. I listen to them boys all morning in the spaces. The program is losing its shine. The value of the U is going down day by day. Nigga, that shit's been trash for 20 years.
I was about to say, wasn't the Bigfoot pizza like popular the last time they did anything at Little Caesars?
Right.
Y'all remember those Bigfoot? I love those. Those were actually good.
I'm telling you, bro. Like, hey, the value of that program is already at the bottom of the barrel. And then y'all had to go get a bunch of transfers when y'all told us we can go hit the portal, stay out the portal. No, y'all portal too much. And now y'all out here in the portal trolling. And the best that you could come up with after all them lies they told us after Cam Ward sat out the second half of the Pop-Tart Bowl was that they was going to go out here and get everybody. The best you could come up with was this dude. This dude, listen, he gonna look like Mike McDaniel by week 4. His face gonna be drawn in. He's gonna have a beard that's spray painted on his face like Marcus Freeman Barber was the one who set it up for him. The man gonna have on dark shades with gold rims. And I'm telling you right now,
he's gonna look like the Miami Vice guys with the newspaper stubble. You know what I'm talking about?
1,000%. And then that man's gonna go out there and every single one of them damn press conferences, he's gonna be like, we had a rough game, but it'll be okay. We'll bounce back. He gonna look like Randy Macho Man Savage out there doing the whole time because that it's gonna be real pure when he get his ass down here. So
don't forget them eyes that go, every which way but loose.
That boy gonna be raggedy as fuck out here. What?
Sid the Sloth. Sid
the Sloth. Timmy from
South. I seen you in the chat saying my shit was buttoned up to the top. Now I done got my ass jumped by Tiny Hat last time for this, okay? These particular shirts, man, they're starched, okay? They're called bugs.
Why you gotta mess with him on his
snap, whatever you call. But no, it's not buttoned to the top. That's just where it goes, okay? I could pop my shit, or I guess because these are buttoned. Is that a problem? Let me unbutton these. Do I need to pop my shit like I'm, Elvis or something?
Hey, real talk. Elon, y'all doing some great work with this AI out here. You got a whole Civil War portrait talking back to us right now. Like, this is nuts.
George
This
is
is
fighting the
nuts.
battle of Little Bighorn
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Where were you when Abraham Lincoln was shot? Like, were you in the theater, like on the first row, or were you outside, like checking tickets? Like, what were you doing?
He was the one jumping on the stage going six zipper Tyrannus, right? That's what it looks like.
I don't know. I was probably fighting, Turkish slavers over in Greece somewhere, since that's where my people were back then. So.
Oh, wait, so you are Greek. So were you fighting against the Trojans with this on? Is that what this was? Is that
This
what's
is
happening?
Sparta looking at it.
Well, I'm telling you, boy, look at it.
One of these would have gone for a small village in Roman times. This is engineering right here. Anybody that goes out there and works with their hands, they understand.
Oh man, that's fucking hilarious. But I did hear y'all say something that I wanted to address real quick. Talking about my boy Thomas Castellanos Vic. I don't need y'all questioning my quarterback right now. All right. My quarterback is gonna throw for 1,000 yards, he gonna rush for 1,000 yards, and he's gonna make sugar out of the shit sandwich that Alex Atkins left us. Okay. This is what he's doing. Do not be surprised if Thomas Castellanos comes out here and he is the number one quarterback in the ACC next year behind that revamped Herb Hand offensive line with Gus Malzahn calling plays to his strengths. That boy is going to be perfectly fine. That's why you see all of them I want to go to the park ass boys up there. Oh, you think you're better than me? You damn right we think we better than you, Boston. Like, that's what it is. There's a reason that they mad up there. We done snatched their whole future. And now they mad because our guy is about to come down here and do work. Don't we play Boston College this year? I like Thomas Castellanos to put up 300 yards against Boston College if we played him this year. I don't even think we played him this year. They lucky.
We do.
Yeah. I would like him to put up 300 yards
Everybody else
passing
don't get this work though,
and 120 yards rushing against that sorry ass defense they got up there. These is facts. Like y'all out here illing out on my quarterback. My quarterback is coming in ready to go. Ready to go.
Hold up, brother. I gave him 2,500 in the air and 500, 600 on the ground. That's a good extra.
But the tone with which you said that, it was not vigorous enough for me, sir. Okay? I need some passion behind that.
I mean, you sold them short on the passing yards, though. You got to adjust 1,000. Come on,
listen.
2,000.
Yeah, I gave him 2,500, baby.
Listen. But see how much passion I had behind that 1,000, though. See how happy I was to come out here and stand on that 1,000.
It's the thought that counts, line as
the way you deliver it, baby. If it were me and I was saying to it, I'd be like, what? Thomas Castellanos, 2,500. Give me them yards. See, you got to be out here, pump your hands or something, baby.
All right.
What I will say about Castellanos, look what he did against our great defense in 2023, right? Look what he did. He did a great job. They were legit the only team I was concerned was about to beat Florida State. That was Boston College. And Thomas Castellanos was the reason. And, Bill O'Brien, who told Jalen Milroe he should be a tight end, wants to come out and talk shit about his former, quarterback, calling him lazy and shit. But Bill O'Brien, while he's not the drunk that Sark was, I think he was just another Alabama offensive coordinator that was kind of a waste of space. He got fired from the Texans. What was wasn't he fired from the Texans for some crazy reason?
Let's put it this way: Bill wears out his welcome wherever he goes.
Yes,
he alienates and he irritates the players under him and the other coaches. Whether it was at Penn State, the Texans, Alabama, It doesn't matter. It'll happen eventually at Boston College. He'll wear thin and he'll run his ass back to the league or retire because whatever his age is, he'd been a journeyman as a coach anyway. So sooner or later, that shit's going to come to an end up there too. He's just
one of these old NFL types that wants to tell people, you got to fit the system. You got to fit the system. We are not going to fit the system to you. And that shit does not from college football anymore. Look at what Chip Kelly did at Ohio State. They completely fucking changed the system after a loss in week 13 or week 12, whatever it is with the bye weeks. Like, completely changed it. Like, they went from shorten the game, run the ball, do this, do that, to fucking West Coast offense. Throw it down. Probably the wrong terminology, but they're throwing it all over the field. All these different things downfield.
I'm glad Chip Kelly can finally win a national championship, considering Oregon ain't ever going to do it. So good for him.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's like
Don't
Chip
make us
Kelly.
play the run.
Chip took the high heels off, realized that he was holding the phone in his hand. It wasn't connected, stopped talking to himself, found his playbook, and remembered what 2010, 2007 looked like when he was coaching at Oregon. He remembered, oh, wait a minute, I used to be one of the most innovative minds in the fucking game. Let me get back in my bag. And then he started calling plays like it again. He hadn't done that period in so long. At UCLA, he was calling dull ass plays. Ohio State, when he started, was dull shit. So I get it. And like that's the Chip Kelly that we always thought was innovative. When he went there, that's the one you fear. That's the Chip Kelly. The only thing he hasn't done is the same thing that we hope that they will allow Gus to do, which they've stopped, which is tempo. You know, Gus gets, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see Gus at UCF. I want to see fucking Auburn Gus. I want to see the innovative. I want to see the Wildcat. I want to see goddamn fly sweeps, jet shit. I want to see, like you said, Tiny, I want to see the fucking wing tee on steroids. That's Gus Malzahn's offense. Everybody else may be pissed, but goddamn it, we're going to average 300 yards a game. We're going to win some games, and we're going to keep our defense off the field. And if they allow us to run tempo, if Mike at least says, yes, run no huddle, we're going to fucking step on some teams next because they're not going to see it coming.
Yeah. Fuck, man, I agree. Like, I want to see, it's going to be somewhere between Auburn and Mike Norvell's current offense and the UCF offense. If you make a triangle, like you see in these different, ratings things you get for players and stuff where it shades to one end, I hope it shades down to that, 2010 Auburn, the 2012 Auburn style. Like, that's what I want too. It's obviously going to be somewhere in the middle. They're not going to run tempo the whole time. They're going to want to burn clock and protect the defense and things of that nature. But I definitely want to see them mixing in the tempo 2-minute offense. It's something I never understood, even under Jimbo and when Jordan was here. It's like they just want to save that shit for the 2 minute. Like, I don't, that's what the quarterback's the best at is off the fly. You got a first down, they're on their heels. I couldn't stand when they would do that. You get a first down and snap it at 10, 15 seconds. I don't get that. You got to have a play ready. Like, it's so hard to catch people in the right formations. And that's what fucking drove me nuts about the substitutions. Because you get a first down and substitute 3 guys. Now the defense can, and you end up snapping it with 5 seconds. So I definitely want to see all that shit cleaned up. And if you can substitute, it's because whatever, it's 3rd and 1 or whatever the case may be. I don't want to see these massive substitutions on first down. Like, the running back in, but I won't go down that fucking rabbit hole again. Lawrence Toafili, your agent signs off. But yeah, I hope y'all feel the same about that. I'm sure you do.
That's just nuts to me that Lawrence Toafili's agent, it looks like one of them cats from Full Metal Jacket. Like, you going through basic training out here. Were you one of the people who hit Private Pile with the soap?
You obviously you need to sit down and watch Landman. Okay, watch Landman and get back to me, and you'll understand it.
Did you
I'm telling you, it's the best show out. But no, this ain't no. What'd you call it? What'd you say it looked like?
Like you in basic training, bro. Like you was beating Private Pile with the soap in the sock, bro. That's what you doing out here. This is my rifle.
This is my gun. This is for fun.
Oh man, I love G. But I'm with you on it. I think honestly, if Gus comes in and they do what we think he's gonna do, we should have a devastating running attack. The quick passing game should be there, and I don't think Mike is against going tempo because we did run tempo a little bit. I would like to see us go a little bit faster. Yeah, I would like to see us go a little bit faster and keep it moving from there. But I have no doubt that that's what they're going to look at. I mean, if you look at just the way they constructed this team, they got a bunch of trees who are going to have to learn how to block outside and catch a lot of jump balls. They got a big offensive line overhaul where they're just going to be trying to maul people because it's easier to run block than it is pass block. You have a stable of running backs that are good at vision, hitting the hole, and keeping it moving. And then you have a quarterback who can look at the first read, potentially look at the second read, and take off running. And if something breaks down, that's all you need. So this offense is going to be run heavy, and it's going to be quick passes and jump balls. That's what we're going to do. And I think if you can't run tempo behind that with that type of scheme there, then something is seriously off. So I fully expect them to go the route that we think they're going to go. I see somebody in the chat say Jalen Lucas is back too. Yeah, put his ass right out there in the slot, have them motion him out of the backfield, put him back there. All of that. Let's see. I want to see all of the wonky ass formations. I want to see the diamond off to the left, to the right side, and then you motion the player to the other side. Yeah, I want to see all of this, so that these teams don't know what the hell we gonna do. You can run out of them formations. You can get the ball out wide and let the receivers take off on receiver screens out there. I want to see all of that because we need to look at this more like a college offense and in the way that the college game is going, rather than what we're used to. Like when Jimbo was here, he was running that pro style. Mike, the stuff that he was doing last year, they dropping everything and the O-line wasn't holding up. Well, now you know your O-line is brand new. Run behind the motherfuckers and give them the chance to make plays. Throw them quick passes. Throw them quick screens. Let's get the ball out in space and let our big dogs go to work. So I'm with you on that.
And then I think that's what Mike can help out with the vertical game. Okay, when they get in a pinch with the passing, because we know Gus ain't that kind of guy always with the vertical shots. I think that's where they'll complement each other when we need the passing game to work. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
I need you to stop attacking my defenders in the chat, okay?
What?
You say I look presidential? Okay, George Bush has a fucking closet full of these shirts, okay?
Which president?
George Bush, George Bush Sr.,
Ulysses S. Grant? Like, which
perfect? Ulysses S. Grant. There you go.
Guy never stepped foot in a tractor.
Right.
You ain't never stepped foot in a Tractor Supply. You paint. What the fuck is this? A Civil War outfit shop?
Andrew Jackson ass little boy, get your shit together.
Like, Grover Cleveland out of here. Yeah.
Right. Get out
of
here.
You put a top hat on George, you look like Dorian Gray.
Oh, Rutherford B. Hayes dressed ass boy, man, get your shit together.
I guess it's a roast of George today.
Hey man,
no,
I let it go.
Hey, Sean, I'll be letting you slide, but that beanie is kind of green, and that little logo, I don't know what it is, but it looks like a U. So,
it does. It does look like a U. It does.
It does.
It 100% does look like a U.
It's not
this makes sense now. Okay, this makes sense now. So George is in here defending Florida State against the Greenbacks that we got going on. Is that what this is? Like you over here fighting for the other team? You're like a whole insurgent with that beanie on. You're a whole insurgent right now with that beanie on. Hey, yo.
Never.
I'm not gonna roast Jen because she's always beautiful and she hasn't cut any jokes at me.
We can't roast her.
No, we're not doing that. No, y'all better get the cooking.
She got the big sleeves that come up to her wrist. Do you do this? Can you do this, Ruth?
It's the turtleneck for me. Could you imagine if I wore a turtleneck on this fucking show? How much I would get destroyed?
Yeah, you should. Men do not wear
turtlenecks. Yeah.
You ain't swole enough to pull off a turtleneck, G. You ain't swole enough to pull it off. Especially with that.
Who wants me to be roasted? Am I missing something?
No, we can't.
No.
Can't I was just deflecting. Just get the attention off of me for a change. Is there anything else there to that we want to talk about? I've been kind of out of the loop, man. Yeah. Dealing with government offices and started a new job and fucking blizzard going on behind me.
Oh yeah, no. Since we had a roast yesterday, man, fuck Notre Dame. Notre Dame, you ruined my national championship game, bro. I'm sick of these sorry ass motherfuckers. No, see, I told y'all, Notre Dame and Penn State, I wasn't giving nan one of y'all credit for shit because I knew y'all was gonna do what y'all always do. You get to the big game, you take the space of a team that should have been there and would have gave us a better game. And then I had to spend my entire Monday night reading a motherfucking book because the game was that bad. All right, I had to read a book the whole time. You damn right. Here it is, right here. You don't believe me? Here, go right here.
What was the name of it again, brother?
Whole fucking book, splitting seconds right here.
There
I got
we go.
Whole book. I'm in Oprah's book club right now because those sorry ass Notre Dame bored me to death. I had to go out here and watch old Just for Men beard ass, fake beard having ass Ryan Day go talk in the press conference after the game because yo sorry Sharpie hairline coach couldn't get your raggedy ass team together. Notre Dame is trash. I'm so sick of them. They're a waste of my time. Go back to the 80s. When you get Lou Holtz back on your team, then we should talk about y'all being able to get to a national title game. A waste of my time. A waste of my time. And you telling me my team last year couldn't do this? My team last year couldn't do that. Could Notre Dame even move the damn ball? They ran up and down. They ran up the field one time, and then after that, Ohio State took their foot off the gas. That was a terrible ass game. Oh, sorry ass Notre Dame. They make my life hard. And now we got to see these
Notre
Ohio
Dame
State
fan with the nerve to say, "I can't believe we lost to a guy who paints his mustache." And I was like, "Your coach fucking paints his hairline in. How could you possibly make that joke? What the fuck?"
I mean,
Come
their
on.
offense was Tebow left, Tebow right. And I'm like, this is the same offense that last year Jaden Daniels exploded in. And then we turn around and you see this last night, and you're like, that's the same offense. That's the same offensive coordinator that we faced the last 2 years. We've seen that offense. And you see it with Riley Leonard, you've seen it with Jaden Daniels. And it's a total night and day. It was obvious they were scared to let him throw the football. So all the prayers he put out there and
he's a
everything,
first round pick.
didn't help. He was never a first round pick. I
Dude, we were all saying it was all about his legs. It was all his legs. And they're like, "Oh, this guy's he's something." Not a bad player, but it's all legs.
Man,
Look, I'm going to say something that people are going to hate when I say it. Okay. Notre Dame's got to change their entrance numbers. Okay. That's just the truth.
Jen, you get it. I mean to cut it off, but you get it. I understand.
Here's where I'm going with this. Notre Dame hasn't had a defense since I can possibly remember watching a football game. Okay? Their defense sucks. Defensive players, I'm not calling them dumb. I'm not. But when they are defensive players, they want to go into school and just blow shit up. They don't care about working on your trigonometry and all this offensive bullshit. That's all Notre Dame's ever had. You cannot win football games the way Notre Dame regulates their football team. Meanwhile, and by the way, I'm going to give Miami fans some credit here. That's what Miami had to learn. They had to change their entrance numbers. Miami is actually, if you went to the school, a very good school, right? We're not talking about the guys in their long pinky nails and whatever it is that sit outside the stadium. Those aren't actually college attendees. We know this. Notre Dame's got to understand it, okay? You got to change it. You got to do it because you will never have a defense. And I'm not calling these defensive players dumb at any other school. But Notre Dame looks at themselves like these defensive players don't get bored sitting around. They just want to blow shit up. That's it. That's all they want to do. And until you do this and understand it, you will continue to show up in these big games and you will continue to lose and be embarrassed. Sorry.
They've had good defenses. But to your point, if you don't change the standards and change the way you do things, you'll never have a 2013 FSU defense, a 2023 FSU defense. When you play the best teams in the country, you get pushed off the ball. When you play the people with the first
defensive player they've had in years couldn't defend himself from a big old man who was the man catfishing their best player. I'm not doing this. No.
They've had other good defensive players since that. Ryan, what's the name? Hamilton? Come on now. I'm not defending my point. But
they were a good defense that year.
Jen's point is this, and I agree with Jen here, but I'll add this on, and I think you were in the space, Tiny, when I said it. Notre Dame's issue is they still recruit the trenches the way they've always recruited it. They do not get the elite athletes that they once got. They don't get a lot of Texas kids. They don't get a lot of Louisiana kids. They don't get a huge influx of Florida or mixture of California kids. In their heyday from the 80s through the 90s and the 70s, hey, I'm not going to give no history lesson. We already know. Segregation played a lot of that. You know, kids who couldn't play in the South, they went up north because they accepted it. That you were able to get in. When that shit changed, Other teams in the South caught up. Not only that, over time, like you said, they raised their admission standards. So all the Prop 48s that used to exist, all of that shit that they were getting in, and they were able to get a kid into the university, you can't get in. You can't get into Notre Dame down. And it doesn't mean that those kids on their roster now are dumb. They're actually probably too damn smart. That's the problem. You need some fucking
And
dummies on the field.
defensive players don't. They're not
Right.
that like. They want to
Run your
light you on
head into
fire. They
something.
want to blow you up.
Facts. I need some caveman. Oh, C-ball, hit ball,
Yeah,
C-man,
exactly.
hit man. That's what I
You need
need.
some
That is
on
it.
our roster. Give me some dummies on my roster. I'm not knocking.
I need a motherfucker like that boy from Alabama, the one who sneezed and blessed himself. That boy said,
Yeah.
bless you. Thank you. I need somebody like that.
Exactly.
I need somebody who is a little slow, and you had to bend the rules to get his ass into the program. Listen, it ain't gonna matter to me because Notre Dame is always gonna get this preferential treatment until them old heads die off. And we just need, that's the one reason that I want to see them go far, is because I just need that program to just go away. Just go away. All right. All they do is their whole existence is to figure out ways to scam their way into easier and more advantageous positions.
Where they make money.
Right. You shouldn't be allowed to get it to play the ACC, 5 ACC games or whatever it is every year, and then turn around and not have to share the bread. You shouldn't be able to do all of well, if we have to join the conference, then we're gonna, figure out which one is the easiest and then go there. Like, go fuck off with Notre Dame. Go put your big boy pants on, go join the Big Ten. You're up there in Indiana or wherever the fuck. Aren't they in Indiana?
Indiana.
Yeah, take your ass to the Big Ten. Play them teams every year, and if you as big and bad as you say you are, then you should be able to dominate the conference. But we know you hiding behind that weak ass schedule. You hiding behind that bullshit, and you want to keep and hoard all the money to yourselves. Get your asses out of here, wasting my damn time. I'm wasting my time.
Are you describing Notre Dame, or are you describing the church? Because it sounds a lot like the same thing. They're hiding behind this. They're money grabbing. It's the same thing.
Hey, all I'm saying is you can try to dance around that shit all you want, but Notre Dame is trying to figure out ways for these sorry asses to never have to come up off that bread and to get the easiest path possible into the college football playoff. Now, granted, you did have a Florida State on your schedule, but that's ACC. You can't even count that. You do have USC every year, but I mean, you're choosing to do that, so that's on you. And they're a Big Ten conference man. So just go ahead and join the fucking conference. Play your 9 games over there and try to win the conference like everybody else.
But let's also discuss the inability of Jim Phillips and the ACC to sit there and allow those MFers to play in the sports that make no money. Because again, we can sit here and discuss basketball all day long, which we do not disappreciate basketball, but that is not where the money comes from, and everybody knows it. Because if it was, Jim Phillips would have said, hey, during COVID, you better, if you want to join us and play, otherwise you're shit out of luck, then you better join us in football too. He didn't. He bent over like, some people at the church make other people do.
Like a whole hoe.
I'm just saying, this was absolutely a derelict of duty. What should be something that Florida State uses in this lawsuit is what they allow Notre Dame to get away with for zero reason. They do nothing for us in basketball. They do nothing for us in whatever their other sport is, which is probably like something bullshit like lacrosse. It's ridiculous. And by the way, Florida State baseball stole their prize quarterback or baseball coach because he actually went to Florida State. I get that. But get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here with what the ACC allows Notre Dame to get away with. And nobody cares. Nobody says a word. They just sit there and allow, and then still put these fuckers on our schedule for football. For what? For what? For the ACC refs that let him get away with every other bullshit that Notre Dame does? It's the most ridiculous bullshit I've ever seen. And this is why Jim Phillips, honestly, draw and quarter him. We could actually do a nice, pay-per-view episode where we could all sit there and watch. Maybe, $40 a person, $39.99, whatever it is, the Tyson fight. We'd all pay to watch it. I would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna come to your house and we making s'mores. Like I'll sit right there and enjoy it because it's pure and utter garbage. We fit right in with them. Yeah, why? Because we got Wake Forest. Is that why? Because we got Wake Forest. The fuck out of here. We hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Fastest growing brand. Hey, that's the fastest growing brand though.
The fuck out of here. The fastest growing nuts out here. These nuts. the
Jim
hell out of here.
Phillips is an altar boy, and we all know that. The whole conference has been raked over the coals by Notre Dame for the last 10 to 15 years, man. Let's just keep it a buck. That's something that always annoyed me, and I can't stand it. I don't have any personal issues with Notre Dame, but I do have a personal issue with the conference and historically of how they've allowed, since Notre Dame has entered the conference, to basically skull fuck them the whole time. You're basically paying this program on top. They made money off of the ACC for Clemson and SMU making the conference, meanwhile pocketing 14 million plus whatever they got for the semi and the final, because they got
And they
money
don't have
for
to
that
break it down at all.
and they don't have to give none of that back. But yet they got their cut. They took a cut of every bowl game that any ACC team made. They get a cut of that, a percentage. And Jim Phillips and whoever before him authorized that shit. But yet, once again, we're sitting here debating and talking about what's going on in this conference. I am so tired of this conference. The basketball is ass now. There is no need to even stay here. There is no viable evidence now to say we need to keep this shit together. Because outside of Duke, who has basically the last 3 years been mid themselves with a lot of talent, basically like Kentucky, a whole bunch of talent, roll the ball out there and don't get no fucking where. North Carolina's a shell of itself in basketball.
Duke is too.
Let's be honest. When you're looking at the top programs in the conference being also ranked, look at Syracuse. They were supposed to bring something to the damn table. They brought nothing.
And that's what they were supposed to bring to the table.
Basketball. Boeheim is gone. This is what you got now. Ass. Pure and other, what you say, bouncing up and down. That's ass.
Yeah, pure ass bouncing on Cam. That's exactly what it is.
I'm attacking the conference on the basis of it's always been a basketball conference. Well, your fucking cash cow is a joke now. The SEC now runs basketball. That's a problem. It's a serious problem. The best teams in the country right now all come in that one conference. Now you're sitting in a situation where 3 years, the top 25 is littered with SEC in football, littered with SEC in baseball, now littered with the SEC in basketball. What are we doing? Why are you fighting? Just let it go. We got relax and let it happen. Basically,
I'll tell you what we're doing. We have Olympic sports. Oh, wait a minute!
I'm not doing this. I'm not.
Wait a minute. The best. But we have the Olympic sports. Deshaun, are you kidding me? The best swim team in the country is. That's in the SEC. That's.
We just mentioned sports that make money. That's what we're trying to discuss.
I got it. Yeah. We got the best lacrosse. No, we don't have that. Oh, the high dive gymnastics. We got gymnastics in the ACC.
SEC runs that shit too.
No. So then, what the fuck are we doing? Shout out to the Lady Knowles with the soccer team, because that's the only thing outside of football that we got here. Is women's soccer. That's it. And they trying to come up with every reason in the world not to try to break them girls off, even though they're bringing in just as much money out here in these streets now. I'm over the ACC. All of that shit's done. When Krzyzewski left, when Roy Williams left, it's over. It is over when it comes to that basketball shit. So I'm done with all of that shit. Florida State basketball can go sit down somewhere. They're not doing anything good. NC State is trash. Wake Forest is trash. Duke is trash.
I mean, Miami basketball might be the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Miami basketball is trash. Like Clemson ain't never had a basketball
team. Didn't NC
team.
State make the Final Four? You know that's gonna be the talking point. Well, NC State did make it all the way to the Final Four. Blah blah blah.
Nobody give a damn about that. Yeah. When NC State is making it to the Final Four, then the basketball is trash. Right?
A handful of years ago, we had half the Elite Eight, half the Sweet 16, like for years running. Like, it's insane how far it's fallen off. And y'all pretty much hit all the notes. Everything the ACC had going for them. Elite FSU and Clemson in the conference. All this money for basketball. It's a fraction of football, but they still could hang their hat on it when 12 teams make the tournament. That's big money for one big check right there. It's all falling apart. FSU and Clemson are both suing you, and back all the way back to the Notre Dame thing. Everything you guys said is legitimate, and it's like in these court proceedings, especially should ESPN not extend it, and you're only talking about 3 years to figure out where your new home is. It's going to be sooner than later, and it's just Florida State has so many things to point at. It's like, look at this. Notre Dame gets to bring the money of an entire conference for making the play. I think if they made the national championship, it was going to be like $30-some-odd million. That's as much as that's 75% of what Florida State and all the rest of the ACC teams make. And you got these fucking teams that spend, $3.75 on football, and Florida State wants to spend 30, 40 million each year. It's really not fair. The return on investment for the TV numbers, they're insane at this point. Like it's insane how good FSU did, even being 2-10. Like still giving teams their best numbers and things throughout that nature, and they were still like top 3 going to like 6, 7 weeks into the year. There's no, and I keep telling this, people keep saying, oh, Notre Dame needs to join the ACC. People outside, they could save the ACC. There's zero reason. Notre Dame would have to be insane to join and play football. As Deshaun said, in 2020, that was your one chance to try to pressure them in there. It didn't happen because they got it. Like, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free, for lack of a better expression? Like, there's no reason. They get every fucking thing they want out of the ACC and more. And they're independent. And that's also something FSU could point to because, like, shit, we'll schedule Notre Dame and we'll schedule some, we'll keep playing Florida. See if Miami will schedule us, and you'll be fine. Like, there's zero things that the ACC provides FSU or Clemson or any of these other teams for that matter that are the top 5, 6 TV teams. They provide nothing. There's nothing there. All it is fucked up called, shitty TV spots, and that all that stuff. As soon as they decided to go with Raycom instead of ESPN in 2008, it was all fucking over. It just isn't how it is. Like you've got guys just going out there on the 4-letter network just shitting all over you, and they own your rights. It's like, what are you gonna do? Meanwhile, they're sucking Notre Dame's Johnson, who's independent and don't fucking, they lost to NIU. Could you imagine? And I'm not saying that they didn't deserve being in playoff. They weren't one of the top 8 teams in the country because they were. Could you imagine if it was FSU rolling into fucking December with a loss to NIU at the beginning of the year?
No.
Shit.
We won all our games. They
But it
still
melted the fucking network down. And why is that? Because we're in the ACC. Imagine if Florida State was in the SEC right now. The fucking hype from ESPN. Oh my God, college game day 2 or 3 times a year. But they're not. It's all politics because, whether you like Trump or Biden, if one guy goes to Trump or one guy's, it becomes politicized. Or all right, now Democrats don't like the Biden. It's the same thing in college football. ESPN has an agenda they're pushing for college football, for the ESPN, for the SEC, this and that. So they're not going to blow up. They're not going to do all these 30 for 30s on Florida State. We're not going to get our fucking Bowden 30 for 30. Whatever, we can get the Miami one, whatever reason from. But that's about shit
Cocaine
that
Cowboys.
before they were in the ACC. It's not about what they did in the ACC because that would be a fucking documentary. But yeah, it is what it is, though. There's no solution besides getting out and going to the Big Ten. I think it was Bree on the timeline today said something about these guys need to be out there practicing in the snow to get them ready for the Big Ten. Yeah, I agree. We're, a week away now from the extension. It's been pretty quiet. There have been some preliminary meetings and things like that. But God, I'm praying to God next week, whenever it is, next Friday or whenever that date pops up, that they decided not to extend it because I think it goes through the end of 2027. That thing, I mean, you're close. I don't know what exactly will happen with the court case, but I doubt. Point being, they're going to leave early. So if things ended in 2 or 3 years, I could see, 27 at the latest you could get out, but we'll see. If they extend it, they can somehow kick the can down the road, then you got another year and a half in the courts before all that shit comes. So.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I was reading what Wilmer put in the chat here. It says the Big Ten has more power with the past 2 natties than the SEC has. I mean, it's a credibility thing here. Something that we could look at. We were talking about just promotion with ESPN. There's a lot of people saying, well, they didn't even promote the national championship game last night. Of course, they weren't going to do it. It's not one of their cash cows. But we're getting back into FSU. You're looking at our situation now, man. It's almost a point of we as fans, we kind of seem like we're in a desperate situation. We're tired of waiting. It was a whole bunch of chest bumping and thumping to begin with, but now it's like everything is stagnant. And I really just look at the things that are just unfolding now, and it is interesting to see how this thing plays out long term. I'm trying to think of where I'm going. because I lost my train of thought. But let's go. Let's say this. I did lose my train of thought, man. I'm being honest with you. I lost my train of thought on that subject because
That's
it's
it.
just so much. It's so much to unpack. That's what it's so many layers to this thing. And you're battling and you're looking at the situation with ESPN. We all know all the propaganda. We all know all of these things that we've had to sit and hear, deal with over the last few years. But the alarming thing that I pointed out a few shows ago is what they did to a member of the Big Ten. And that should tell you, it's telling what they did to Indiana. Remember, they tried to destroy and tear Indiana apart. They didn't belong. This sound like you just stuck. Y'all supposed to be, it's like an unwritten partnership between the SEC and the Big Ten. We all know they sit at the table and talk to each other. But the SEC's propaganda machine took a knife to the back of one of the programs in that conference. That should tell you there is no fair hand. There's no union here. It's every man for himself. And the SEC is going to do what I guarantee you, the SEC will be the biggest spender in the portal, the biggest spender going forward, because they're going to make damn sure they get a team in that game next year. I'm telling you, they're going to change. Something's going to change. That's why you've already seen the discussions about rule changes. The rule change, the committee's looking at this. The SEC has been bitching and crying ever since Bama got left out, Ole Miss, South Carolina. No matter what the results were in the bowls, they're going to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, which is why they're already talking about this after the. I was watching this where they're saying that they have the meetings now where they're trying to come up with ways to revamp the system for next season.
Yep.
And I'm like, you just had it. The only thing that you can
Exactly.
really do to make it better is just do reseeding or at least have the 12 teams get in, and seed them how they fell. But that's it. Like, that's the only thing you can really do. But they're still pushing for the 4 teams, still pushing for the 4 from the Big Ten and the SEC. And then fill everything out with the other BS. It's like it's all a giant TV show. So Florida State, win your fucking games.
Win your games. Time when we had the Power 5 and the G5.
Exactly.
And here's one thing I was ahead of. I was wrong about this team this year, but I've been saying it for 2 going on 3 years now. There is no more of that. It's a Power 2 and a G6 or a G7 or whatever the F it is. And this year proved that more than anything else with all the narratives, especially if you ask ESPN, it's like a whole nother planet. So, as it relates to the court case or FSU making decisions forward, it's either you're in the Big Ten, the SEC, or you're Notre Dame, and you're somehow an independent with the same, with an entire media deal with NBC all by yourself. You can compete, you can go undefeated, get there and all these things of that nature, but you're never going to get the same airtime, respect that the Big Ten or the SEC gets. You're not going to get the same money, and you have to get good once every 4 years or something, because if you have a good year, you're going to get looted for portal guys, and every SEC team is able to offer your quarterback $3 million, and they're the 10th best. It's just that's how Mississippi State gets a top 5 portal class. Not like they have some kind of momentum or it's a destination or something. Like, you can understand FSU and doing stuff, but like, it is what it is. They're getting $80 million or whatever it is, I think.
And guess what's going to happen to that team? They're going to still win 2 to 4 games next year.
Be ass. Exactly.
They don't even have a fucking Pizza Hut. I don't want to hear this. Starkville is probably one of the worst cities I've ever been to in my life, minus College Station. If you've never been there, you'll never go there again. Those are 2 of the worst. Like, let's just be honest here. Mississippi State got a bunch of people's dregs, and by the way, because they're an SEC school, whoever transfers to them automatically gets a bump up in their portal rankings. Okay, guess who else had a top portal class last year, guys? A 2-win team that is Florida State. Okay, I don't want to. Again, this might be. I don't. Here's the thing. Good teams, good programs are always going to best themselves. And that ain't Mississippi State. It's not like the losers and the drags that is Miami upping their program too by paying a guy who can't throw until probably August $4 million. Like, we're kidding ourselves here. And this will end, by the way, now Nick Saban, we got to change the rules. because this
Don't
is
get me
because
started on that fucker.
yeah, we're all getting like they're getting beat because teams. I don't mean to be breaking news here, like Ohio State, Michigan, programs that go back 150 years, 200 years have a ton of money. They got money now. They get to spend it. They get to do whatever the fuck they want with it. And guess what? Alabama doesn't have it. They don't have it. Okay, they just don't have it. Now they do have some money. Of course, they got a lot of money, but they don't got old money.
Mm.
Alabama is what we like to call, in certain circles, new money. I know some people don't understand this, but
I
old
understand.
money is
I
old
understand. I
money.
understand.
Old
I
money
do.
means you can walk into any institution, any bank, and get whatever fucking loan you want. New money means you got to go to the online banks. Okay? That's the difference.
Not Chime and Cash
Look,
App.
I'm telling you, this
You're
is what
telling
it
the
is.
truth,
And you
man.
know I'm right. New money is different than old money. You may have all the new money in the world, but old money comes with a reputation. It comes with certain, gravitas. It comes with certain privilege that a lot of people don't want to discuss. The Big Ten's got old money. Alabama is new money, and Nick Saban can't fucking stand it. By the way, he had no problem with players getting paid when he was doing it under the table, but now that everybody gets to do it out in the open,
Hold on now,
this is
Jen,
the problem.
because they're gonna sit there. The fans, the Bama fans, that sit there and say, "Well, you ain't got no receipts." I had that good debate on the timeline this morning. There's no
Everybody's got
receipts
receipts.
for this. There's no receipts, and I was honest in saying, well, every coach does it. It's always been a part of college football. But to get
Yep.
back into what you were saying, Jen, about old money, people got to understand. Michigan has money that from the industrial age.
Yeah.
Back when the factories and the industries, the auto industries, all of that shit, Ohio State, all that, what you're seeing now, the playing field is not going to be fair. Because outside of Texas and the Texas schools and maybe Oklahoma where they have oil money, some of these SEC schools do have money, but they ain't got money like them boys up in the East and the Midwest that have industrial money that dates back to the Revolution. And I'm talking about the Industrial Revolution and into those times. Yeah, when that shit was booming. Yeah, that's old money like that.
Like
We're talking Rockefeller money. We're talking
Rockefeller
Vanderbilt.
money.
Like we are talking like this is the type of money that came over on the Mayflower money. Okay.
Yes.
You don't SEC schools do not have that type of they do have the swagger of hey, we're a good football team, but what they don't have is we're not this institution of by the way, who funds the I'm not gonna do this, but here's what I'm gonna say.
It's no coincidence they call them endowments, okay?
There you go. There you go.
If they drop that shit on the table and all of a sudden those teams start pulling money from there instead of boosters and whatever, former guy that played there. No, if they start drawing all that, that will completely change everything. And collective bargaining has a chance to do that. Like if you're going to look at, if return $100 million on investment just for being in the conference and then where streaming and all the rights and things can be now, these universities are thinking long and hard, and you saw that with Michigan after they got a little momentum. Barstool gets up there, starts getting on phone calls with billionaires, and all of a sudden, what's that?
I said it ain't just Barstool. They got one guy that's worth
he arranged it
$1 billion or something like that.
He ain't the money of it. Barstool got on the phone with the biggest motherfuckers that are Michigan, the top of it, and. Unlike the administration who doesn't necessarily see the vision, he got those fuckers in a room and they came up with some crazy number because they have it to draw from. They have those guys.
But let's discuss this. Big Ten schools have former presidents of the United States, vice presidents of the United States. This is the endowment that we are talking about here. This is huge. You don't see USC grads being president or vice president of the United States. You see Michigan, you see Ohio State, you see these Big Ten schools. I'm sorry, but this is the type of old money I'm talking about.
I don't right here.
This
she-
is this
she-
is what I'm look, and by the way, SEC teams don't understand this. These SEC fans don't get it. You might have Vanderbilt for sure, but when has a guy from Vanderbilt ever done anything but be a spook who is now supposedly a news anchor on CNN? Anderson Cooper, all looking at you. That is it. That's it.
Yeah, she talking about old money. Like this old money got a Supreme Court justice. Like
Thank
Notre
you.
Dame has a Supreme Court justice right now.
Yes.
First one out of the Ivy League to do that. She right. Listen,
Totally
if you
different.
want to know what old money is the people that is paying George and his tan shirt wearing ass ilk to go out there and guard them when they're going on the steam trains to go across the country when they want to go and check out the oil fields. All right. This is who we talking about. All right. That's what we talking about right here. So I'm with you on it. All I'm saying is if we're looking at it from that perspective, then a lot of these schools who are quote unquote blue bloods, you're not gonna be in that same game unless y'all start coughing up this bread. It ain't gonna be like that.
Yep.
So it's gonna be fun.
That's what you're gonna have to do.
You damn right, Bobby.
Yeah.
G go catch all these strays. Hey, G, there's a
Go
stagecoach
catch the
that's coming.
strays.
You better make sure that you have your flintlock pistol ready to go so that you can stop Butch Cassidy.
My
and
God,
the
you got to get out of
Sundance
South
Kid.
Florida, man. You got to get out of South Florida and see what the rest of the country feels like. I don't know. The chat doesn't really have my back, but I don't know. If you walked around the middle, you'd be fucking just getting on everybody. I don't know what to tell you. This is like a universal fucking Southern thing that people wear.
I'm with you on it, baby.
I can't believe how much hell.
I used to rock those Dickie bits all the time.
Yeah.
I used
Hey,
to have a
Jen.
cracked out Bugs Bunny on mine.
I will add to something you said about SC. Let's not remember, SC has a lot of Hollywood money. Hollywood
Absolutely.
execs, Hollywood directors and producers. So every time you go sit in a movie, USC's getting a cut. Every time you listen
Absolutely.
to certain songs, USC's getting a cut. Every time you go to a Nike and buy some Nike gear, and every time
Oregon.
think about that, Oregon's getting
They don't
a cut.
give a fuck,
You know?
though. They just don't give a fuck. That's why they're still playing in the Coliseum. Like they
if
have
you
the money, but
go
chintzy with that shit. They're not putting it out there for the football program.
if you go
It's just
watch a
what I
movie,
see.
Sony gives USC a cut. By the way, Sony.
Yes.
It's going
Sony.
into that endowment, not to the fucking athletic department. Maybe that changes.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it should. If people really want to compete now, because that's what you're gonna have to do. Like, because Big Ten all of a sudden decided,
Oh, stop.
guess what?
Working on a railroad? You fucking got the railroad
No.
outfit that you cut out and made curtains with it behind you. And you getting
Listen,
on me about
listen. Ed D said that you look like you got on a Walker Texas Ranger shirt. I didn't say that. You said it.
like your
Okay,
son
that's
Adam
fair,
or
but
fucking
that's
me.
still
Oh,
cool,
man.
George. Come on.
Oh my
Make fun of this shirt.
goodness.
Let's go. Let's go. That boy
Oh
had
my
to bust open the
God.
work shirt like he Clark Kent. That's what it is.
Man. Hey,
I'm with you.
but before, guys, I got to bring this up. I know, George, I'm not gonna steal your thunder, but we have not talked about this Wisconsin and Miami shit.
I love it.
I do too.
I hope this shit happens, and I don't want to see.
I hope this kid is really good.
Yeah, I hope he's worth it. I don't want to see him necessarily get clipped. They probably just end up having to pay his share and all of that. I don't think it's anything serious, but it's
Let's
a
bring
bad
her out
guy.
for people like of what happened. I know you're talking about Xavier Lucas. Like, tell the people
well,
what you think. Like, it was. Did Miami really do some fuck shit and was really tampering, or did he really have to go to the portal? Like, what do you think actually happened? And then we can debate it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
but one
go
thing
ahead,
I will
you
say
go
is
ahead.
this isn't the first time Miami's been accused of tampering.
Everybody does it.
No, wait, but they've done it a lot in these last 2 years, and they've done it a lot to. Well, one was Carson Beck. They've been accused of this. It's been going on behind closed doors. Nobody wants to say it, but for the Big Ten to come out with that statement was wild. And that means there might be something. I still think nothing's really going to happen. I think Miami's going to end up, like you said, paying his share, but that's all I'm going to say about it.
But long term, anybody that knows anything about it knows it's pretty much probably what it'll boil down to. But let's talk about the situation that we just discussed. What if this situation with the conference does change? You think the Big Ten ain't looking at Miami funny now?
Yes,
You
apparently they are.
Yeah, they're looking at them sideways. No, bitch, you lost your chance to get in because you fucked around and you're gonna find out.
I love it.
That's one situation. But to discuss the player being talked about is Xavier Lucas, who's a South Florida kid who Miami recruited. He chose to go to Wisconsin. He turned out to be a pretty talented freshman, but underrated. He's just signed some kind of NIL deal with Wisconsin, and then apparently it's been tampered with and is now gone to Miami. But the thing is, Wisconsin one withheld his ability to go into the portal. So he went, which has been found that he can do. It's totally legal. He transferred to Miami without entering the portal officially. So there's some legalities there as far as wanting Wisconsin wanting their money back or the Big Ten backing it up. It could end in some legal issues. Wisconsin saying they basically got some kind of dirt or whatever because they wouldn't have, beat their chest as loud, and with the Big Ten backing them up, it's a situation where, somebody left some evidence of tampering, basically. So we just have to wait and see where it goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me that because the point is like everybody tampers, but there's still like the unspoken rule. There's like a level to it. Like if you pass it, yeah, motherfuckers gonna start calling you out. Everybody knows you got whoever it is on the staff. Like, hey man, if you did transfer, we'd love to have you at Florida State. But when you start like, oh, he just got $500,000, and we're gonna give you this, and we'll beat what you got. You could probably still keep that shit and come to Miami. And now you got $500,000 to like buy a penthouse or rent a penthouse for a year, whatever. Like that's when that you can ruin a reputation. It's like there's the unspoken rules. It's like when Alabama and Georgia supposedly were selling like buying paintings for $250,000 that some player just like drew a stick figure. Like that's when people start like, all right, motherfuckers, y'all are getting a little crazy, But luckily the lawsuit happened with Ed O'Bannon, and here we are in full out free agency. But the fact that I feel like it has to be something egregious for Wisconsin to have made all this stink. You know what I mean? And you should not be able to go and get a $500,000 bonus. And I don't know if that's true. That's just what the rumors were. But whatever it was that happened with him, you shouldn't be able to accept the thing, come through the portal, sign up to play, and now Miami offers more money. And I'm going to like somehow keep that and walk away. Like, no, that shit should have to be paid back, or you should have to stay at the school or something. Because be professional, be fucking professional. That ain't pay for play. That's just pay to show up and then you leave. So it's fucked
I
up.
think the egregious,
There's
for the
kids
Big
that committed
10.
from high school and have already transferred out. They don't even have to stay a semester anymore. Like that's why when people were having all this national letter of intent, we don't have one. What is it going to be this year? Like it's not worth having a conversation. You sign the national letter of intent, and then 2 weeks later you enter the fucking transfer portal. Well, what is it? And you can do it 6 more times. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for the Big Ten to say something, I think it must be pretty bad. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think a conference makes a statement about tampering when there could be other teams in their own conference.
Yeah.
No offense, looking at you, Michigan, looking at some other schools, and they would not like to open that closet of skeletons to fall out. So I feel like this might be a little bigger. I still think it turns into a nothing burger, but I think Miami's going to take a big
black eye
slap in the face with it. And I think it's going to affect their coaching staff. I do think it will affect their coaching staff. We shall see.
I love it.
Yeah. I heard
Give him
some
the
news
death
about
penalty.
them looking at Belk too. They up there trying to. I mean, he's really reaching for a lot of shit right now.
Give him the death penalty. Get him up out of here. I need another Sports Illustrated cover that says, "Should Miami no longer have a program?" Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Shout out to Bobby. That boy said $500,000 in Miami. That's a 1-1. You damn right it is. You gonna get a 1-1, possibly an efficiency for $500,000. Get that shit out of here. I honestly think they did. The tampering is rampant.
Tampering.
Yeah,
We
all know.
But I believe, from my understanding, I just think the way they're doing it is sloppy as fuck. Basically, they just been real sloppy, and they haven't been organized with the way they're operating, and it's just evident. It's like, it's basically throwing money. Like we always say, they're throwing money out there, and they're not really just vetting. They're just trying to get optics. It's all optics. Let me get this guy. Let me get this guy. Let me get this guy. Not worried about fit. Just worried about bodies. Well, what stats? What did he look like? Okay, let me throw him in there. Sometimes it's going to work out. And then like last year, it worked out in the front seven, but that back four looked like shit.
Did it work out in the front seven last year? Because them was some lies that they told us.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear
right.
that.
Well, it worked out compared to what the back four was. It worked out. Let's put it that way.
Them DBs from Miami was so ass that they put their whole program up. They put their whole program up to try to find some DBs out here to come in here and do that. It's terrible. Listen, y'all need Miami. Just go to the Big 12, bro. Just go to the Big 12. Y'all will be all right over there. Y'all can get a championship if y'all can score points.
No.
Y'all ain't got no defense. Y'all fit right in over there, dog.
Mormons out there gonna whoop their ass. What you talking about?
Good.
Ooh, BYU would beat the shit out of Miami, wouldn't
Utah
they?
too.
Yeah, true.
Go ahead. Just go ahead and go to the Big 12. Y'all can compete with was it UCF? Y'all can compete with them.
Yeah.
It'll be fantastic. Y'all can keep
Yes.
Florida and Florida State on your schedule. You know, that'll be cool. Keep us on the schedule and that'll be straight. But this is all hilarious. I wonder if Miami is just if I was Miami, I'm like, look, I'm not even gonna fight this. I don't want to piss off the Big Ten. But Mario's he's coaching. He is coaching for his life right now. He's got to tamper. He got to recruit his ass off because all of the shit that they took last year, that DB room for it to look like that, and now what you see them coming in with this year, they're gonna take a step back. I told y'all it was gonna be 6 and a possible L's on that schedule. And I'm going to stick by that because y'all going to have a nice fall from grace. Y'all had the best team in 20 years, and you got no hardware to shoot for it. And I absolutely
hang on. I got one thing. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt everybody, but I'm going to give a big shout out to Mitch Wade's beautiful daughter, Danielle. I am saying hello to her. Go Knowles. Enjoy your night.
Let's go, Danielle. That's what's up. Hey, shout out to Danielle and all of the rest of the Walker, Texas
Absolutely.
fans.
He loves the show, and also, fuck you, Henry Lee. I bet you sound like Urkel mixed with fucking Pee Wee's Big Adventure ass looking motherfucker. Anyways, we're gonna end the show off because I've been thinking about this. I've been dreading it all fucking day. I want to do it, but I'm 33 years old, and I know I'll probably catch pneumonia. And snow just turns to water when you apply body heat. But I'm gonna fucking set my tripod up and do a big ass snow angel, and then if my finger will work on the damn tablet, I will end the show.
Hey, yo.
Y'all do whatever. I'm about to set this shit up, and we'll end it with the snow angel.
AG, listen, don't take that shirt out there. You're gonna wash the starch out that motherfucker. All your
fuck you, man. I put a jacket on. Okay?
He's gonna lose all. He's gonna lose all of them.
Watch all of that. Listen, all that 1920s lead paint you got on that motherfucker is gonna start affecting the groundwater.
There ain't no fucking lead paint. I ain't been doing no grinding.
Goddamn Pensacola gonna turn to Flint, Michigan, bitch.
I'm telling you, bro. G about to pollute it out there. Look at that boy.
We got a trucker now. What's up?
Hey, listen. Look at this man. He about to do a backflip. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Hey, he like every character in The Revenant. Where's Leo DiCaprio in that bear? Hey, watch out! There's a bear behind you. There's a bear behind you.
Oh man, The Revenant, good scalp looking ass.
G looked like a bootlegger. Hey, that is pure China white right there, people. You can get it.
Man.
We got it. We wholesaling right now. You can see it. We wholesaling
China white in Florida. This is rare shit, y'all. This is that good shit.
Good fucking God.
Bro, look how deep that snow is.
Man.
I've never seen one like that in the fucking movies. I mean, that's 10 inches of snow, folks.
It's like a kid in a candy store, man.
He is.
Guys, I love y'all.
Out there.
My phone's about to die.
All right, man.
Go Knowles.
Hey, go chop some wood and put it in your old school fireplace, bro.
Yeah.
I'm getting in front of the fucking furnace. You can believe it.
Get your corn pipe through there.
Fuck y'all. Go Knowles, man.
All right, man.